All right, folks. Hello, everybody. We are getting started today with Prosperous Universe. And here is my empire. I'm Archiel of Archiel Industries, and I run a 36-some base empire now. 39. Yeah, who's counting? And this is kind of what I do to go through the base. All my bases every day, get everything running, and after that we'll go over some gateway stuff, some governance items, and basically anything you guys want to hear about, so don't hesitate to ask me any questions. I have some notes in place. Basically, the way that I start off every day is to go over my incoming contracts and go over my notifications. I didn't answer any yet today. It looks like there's 26 to go over. So I just kind of start at the top usually and go through them. Delvatron is on vacation, so we'll come back to that. We have our faction contracts, which have been which are few and far between once you get to a higher level. You know, they come every 3 days. I'm trying to stay on top of the leader charts, but I'm also been a little more cognizant of making money off them. Since 3 or 6 months ago, they kind of rebalanced some of them, and they end up being potentially pretty profitable. So the planetary exploration ones are always pretty small. The shipping ones are always... So the shipments get bigger. Now that I'm at exactly 1,000 rep. Didn't know that. At that size, they get a little bigger. They get, you're looking at 50 to 100 tons shipped, which is still pretty small. But it's these provision contracts that get to be valuable at this point. So, algae, 1,000 algae is $300,000. We get paid 300,000 AIC and get 100 BSE. The BSE is worth 200K-ish. So that's a profit of, about 200,000 AIC. It's only one faction rep point. Let's see, it's the morning. The leaderboards kind of load better in the morning, but faction rep leaderboards are one of the ones that load the least well in my experience. So that probably won't load for us today, but we'll give it a shot. Sometimes if you click it and you give it a little bit of time, it'll come back. So we're kind of short on cash. I think we'll take the cash one. I don't know what the leaderboard situation is. I haven't been able to get it to load for a while. And algae is something we should be able to get shipped. There's a chance. All right, so we already have 1,000 algae. All right, excellent. And then the question is, what else needs to go to Amethyst B? Amethyst B is a planet I use for electronics, specifically CBL production. So I need beryllium and lithium. So we'll just fill the rest of the ship with that. And maybe some HCC. We'll throw in 5,000 HCC. And we'll send it off. 158B. All right. Easy money. And a good way to get rid of algae. All right, back to the list. Sometimes I'll click through on the trade notifications. We have upkeep. We have sales on Antares. EDE's moving at a low price. Okay, that's pretty nice. Can sit on that. Picks up some polymer granulate. Pick up some sodium on Agamemnon. We'll have to go. That would be garbage. So we just have to pick up our garbage in that case. Yeah, thanks. 1,000 rep. I had no idea I was close to that. I mean, I would know it was in the 900s. My last my last contract was a repair a ship for 5, which is, yeah, that's like those are easy points. I'll take that. All right, the other thing that I like to check is the pending contract conditions, because that's an easier one to check than to click through pending contracts, which when you start getting involved with gateways, you just have a bunch of dead planetary government contracts. Some of them, I think this is a bug that they do not go away. You cannot finish. Some of them were finished, marked finished. Some of them do not get marked finished. So we'll be stuck with those until we run through the government and cancel a bunch of them once the gateway shenanigans are done. All right, so gateway progress. I need to make a gateway screen of some sort. And I started this. Just need, so the challenge I have with gateway organization is that what I really want to see is the inventory screen, but filtered for construction, upkeep, and vortex fueling. But it won't. You can't save the state of this if you put those in and dock it somewhere. They disappear every time you reload the screen, so it doesn't remember the state of them. So I think what we want to do is we want to like make buffers for the upkeep items, I guess, and the construction ones come and go, so it's not super helpful. Oh, I just filled upkeep and it just ticked over. So that's a bummer, but we don't need to refill that. Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot more of these types of inventories where they're specific inventories. They're special stores that have a maximum amount of things you can put into them. All right, so this new gateway here on Griffinstone is the one that will go to Etherwind, because the other ones are finished. We kind of blew through some of those. So we are going to start up on this one now. I think, let's see. The gateways that we do have and their status. Let's do a quick update here. So Heftegriff is done. So it's got the distance upgrades and it takes 5K ships. Sorry, that's Griff to Hef is that way. Heftegriff is, yeah, starting at Hephaestus has the full volume upgrade. The return one only takes 2K ships, and we'll be upgrading that after we build every other gateway. Because that is mostly just GWS, and it's a lot of GWS. The next gateway that we have is the one to Amethyst B, and this one is also upgraded to take 2K ships. It doesn't have its upkeep yet because the reverse gate is not linked. And I think we might be ready to link it since that gate says it was finished 3 minutes ago, which was after I started the stream. Okay, so that one is ready for an upgrade. Let's check out what's going on over there. Did it really just finish? Oh yeah, it just finished. Okay, so the ship arrived and it finished. So that means the catch here is that on this planet I am not on the Parliament. Nope, this is the wrong planet. 151b. We need to go to 158b. Easy to lose a planet at this size. Don't even know where it is. Yeah, I've had nightmares that like a planet, if I settle a planet and it's not in the list, I could just lose it and I would never find it and I would just never fill it. All right. Amethyst B 158b is the planet. Okay. So the election ends in 3 days. I think we're gonna have to bug Evo in order to do the next upgrade in the naming. So let's make a note for that. Up 158b. Okay. So that means, did I fly that ship to the wrong planet? I don't know. Yeah, I wasn't supposed to fly these here. All right, that's okay. We'll move that stuff when it gets there. Yeah, tiles, yeah, can you make... Can you make a... Because you can make these lists of... You can make lists of buttons, right? Can you make custom ones and stuff them on a screen? XIT command list. Okay. So let's make a... Oh, I hit return. And it refreshes the page. See, that's why that is one like pet peeve. Like I'm always scared to enter text into some of the buffers because I know it just wipes them out sometimes. Okay. XIT commands, XIT command list. Never used this feature before. Let's figure it out. Gateway stuff. All right, and what do we want in here? Let's try, let's do drift to half upkeep, and we'll put that in there. Add command. F2 griff upkeep. Put that in there. Call it done. Command list. Oh, I think we got something going on here, folks. Yeah, this was a good tip. I'd seen this and never done anything with it. So maybe this is the way to go. I can just click and open up individual buffers. Then, like, I like to have my fleet buffer on every screen because that's kind of like how you interact with the game, right? Like how you get places. So if you have your fleet and your if you have your fleet and your like main CX inventory somewhere, then you're in pretty good shape for actually being able to send out ships from that mission that you're on. All right, do a little cleanup, and we'll grab the Antares CX. And we'll dock that down there. All right, so this is all I need to send off ships. I can open a upkeep buffer, I can grab a ship, I can fill it from the CX. That's kind of my preferred workflow on all of my screens, unless it's one of the like special filling COGCs or government screens. But that's the way to go. That works well for me. So from here we can monitor the. We still have to click to get to the fuel. Oh, fuel. Okay, fuel availability is here. This one will need refueling and it will need new contract. The upkeep ones got stuck again for me and I had to refill them. So that was a bit of a bummer. Okay, and the new gates are pending a name. We can start filling. We can out of goodies here. Oh, that's the other thing I usually do when I start is I click through to make sure nothing gets nothing has gotten stuck. All right. We can fly you back. I will also, the other thing that I'll do when I'm starting is I'll go through all the ships that aren't at a CX and then fill them up and send them home. So IA-151B is, we were just on that one. That is the new planet that is not quite building at 100%. All right, there we go. Much better. Don't need that many power. The power just there for when we run out of beryllium. So let's get this stuff shipped back. And I have more beryllium and lithium coming. And the NCS can go home also. All right, slight distraction, then we'll back to the gateway situation. Okay, so the gateways are pretty well on their way now. We've got the baseline update is set up for each of the gateways. Here, both of the ones to Griffinstone and to Amethyst. That one's back, and the return trip just got set up, and so we'll need the motions for that. I'll either wait or ask Evo to do that later off stream. So that's in pretty good shape, and we can start building the gateway that goes to. Let's add. Nope. Let's add it to our nice little list. So this is the one to Aetherwind. Add command, call it Griff to Aetherwind. Put it in there. Okay. So there is a lot to ship. And what I will do is I will probably set up some local market ads for that. People are pretty enthusiastic generally to have the opportunity to fly something to the gateway and to contribute to the construction. And I want to make sure that's something that, you know, people get to experience, because like I think the gateway, like it would be very easy for the gateways to be something that only one person interacts with, and that you know, is less fun maybe than having the opportunity for more people to interact with the system. So that's why, like, I try to get people to, you know, make the rhenium alloys, get as many people involved, get as many people to have bases that are extracting REO, because otherwise it would just be a thing that nobody interacts with. That would be kind of lame. Okay, so let's make, so my thought with this is you don't want to make a ton of really small shipping contracts, because that sucks to type and it sucks to fill. So we try to grab the big stuff and try to grab the stuff that's not super important, not super expensive, right? If someone disappears with it or loses it, that it's not too ruinous. Unfortunately, like everything that goes into a gateway is expensive in the quantities that it goes into the gateway. So you just have to accept a little bit of risk with that. One thing I could turn off auto provision, but that's a hassle for people interacting with it. And I don't think the hassle is worth the reduced risk, really. So space tethers are a no-brainer. The trusses are pretty straightforward. And I kind of just put a stipend on it to, I don't know, cover fuel and some time. Like, I don't know. All of the shipping for the Gateway project comes out of my own pocket. I would have loved to work that into the system somehow, the way that shares are tracked. But there's also, like, it's just a lot to track, and adding more burden to the tracking process also makes that difficult. So we'll ship 4,000 trusses. And one more. And the other big stuff, the GWS is obviously big, but I'll probably be shipping that. The PSH is, yeah, the PSH is a lot. So the PSH is, do I make it a smaller one so it'll fit in a 2K ship? That's a good question. We can do 400. We can't do 500. 500 doesn't fit. So we'll do 2 400s. So people can kind of piece together shipments here. TSH is also kind of heavy. RSH is kind of heavy. We'll do a couple. TSH and RSH. And I'm gonna let people decide what they can pack in their own ships. All right, so we've addressed these light blue items, except for the lit. I will pack up a 5K ship. Let's send a GWS up there on the 5K, because that's the only ship that can take it. The nice thing about this is we just can take a gateway right there. So it'll be easy peasy. All we have to deal with is the 8-hour travel time from the CX to the gate, but we can turn that into 3 hours if we just turn up the fuel a little bit. And then it's, yeah, I don't know. Like, we have to have a talk about the travel time to the gate being a very significant portion of the flight. Yeah, it's a problem. It kind of can sabotage the value of the gateways in some cases. All right, so we can fly a bunch of unshielded 2Ks over there for the rest of this stuff. We had a question about checking LMs. I don't really check local markets anymore. I used to have a screen for it. I think when I started playing, we didn't have private contracts. There were only local markets. So if you wanted to transfer something, you would carefully organize one AIC local market trades in a way such that like you were always like, I'm offering one AIC to get this. Like you had to only go in one direction, otherwise someone else could grab your stuff. So there was a lot of effort that went into that, and the local markets were busy. And because people were always looking at the local markets, you could actually buy or sell things there. That doesn't quite happen as much now because because you're not making those trades on the local market, I just tend not to open them ever. And I think that's common for a lot of people. So yeah, I mean, it would be good to watch the local markets a little closer. I don't know if is there anything local market specific in uh refined prun? I don't think so. You just have to set up a screen or set up a screen with some of the other clicky options. Like I'll use them occasionally, but only for really specific situations. And then I'll usually like bug someone in Discord. It's the same thing. Like I don't use the comm channels. Like if people are messaging me on comm, I'm not going to see it probably. And I'm on too many planets that they're just always blinking. So I think it would be great if the planet chats were separate from the DMs that you get via the comm system. That would help. I don't know exactly. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Discord is convenient for a lot of reasons, right? It just shows up on your phone. So it makes. Oh man, we're full already. All right, we got the ABH. Next spaceship. ADE. Yeah, and I think the other thing is, when I started, we had everybody had their starter spaceships, and then the corp had one shared ship that you could request, like, hey, please haul this for me. So you'd be constantly transferring materials between people via the local market in order to get other people to fly your stuff around because, there's 5 spaceships in the game that aren't starters. Now we're in a situation where, like, it's literally easier for me to build another ship than it is for me to, like, pester someone on Discord to fly something for me. So I think that really changes that, that's another way that the use of the local markets have changed and use of shipping contracts have changed. That you just don't need that that level of cooperation the same way. Okay, this one is full also. All right, next spaceship. Fill them up. 8,000 SP. Yeah. That's a lot of solar panels. And I'm finally reducing these counts of things. And we are, in fact, a little low on some of the LFABs that we'll have to figure out. The TRS, I'm going to send 40 now. Oh, nope, I'm going to send 16 now because that's all that fits in the ship. All right, so these are all going to the OFM gate. 9 hours, 7 hours, yeah, sure. So you can do the unload on these. Don't do it for the fuel. Don't do it for the upkeep. They will end up in the same wrong spot, or your stuff will just disappear. All right, these gateway fees are going to be great. We're going to make so much money off our own gateway fees. All right, which one of these didn't I fly yet? This one? Okay. So this will be mostly done once all those shipping contracts go through. And I think what I will do is I will just hop in here and say shipping contracts up on Ant to the new gateway. And usually someone will grab a bunch of those. And anyone who's watching the stream, feel free to grab a shipping contract if you want. Participate in the experience of the gateway. Yeah, let's look at some gateway fees. Yeah, I think the LM usage does depend a bit on what's going on the planet. Like, new players will have more patience for like watching the LM. people who don't have a ton of planets can if they have 2 planets, yeah, you can check your LM every day. And it's also nice, like, it is nice for those situations where, you're making aluminum ore and you just want to sell the ore on the planet. Like that, that's great for everybody. That's a win for everybody. Okay, so here we are on the Hephaestus page. Income, the thing we're looking down here is the current period, last period gateway fee revenue. And let's pull up. So we, for some reason, a lot more people go from Griff to Hef than reverse. And the fees we have decreased the fees from the planned amount down to 6,000. Right now we are kind of pulling ahead. It looks like usage is still increasing. This should roll over sometime today. I kind of thought it would have rolled over by now. I would say they're not quite meeting expectations now. We've been filling the upkeep, and the upkeep is expensive, and we're covering upkeep and fuel, but I would expect like a much higher amount of we haven't done any payouts yet. I just have a $1 payout as a test to make sure the spreadsheet works. But you can see here we've got last week's in. Our total income 3.8 million. Of that, the upkeep has been 2.4 million. I would hope that the income would be 10x the upkeep, because we have a lot of, we have $1.7 billion of upfront capital that should be generating income for people. But, and I think I am concerned that it will absolutely disappear when, if they make it so the gateway button isn't checked by default. So the thing is, like, even if we improve the gateway performance by changing the way the SF for the non-FTL portion of the flight to the gate, like if that gets better as part of a rebalancing of some sort, and the gateways are more attractive from a speed perspective, and it's not a default button, like people just stick with the defaults, right, 90% of the time. So that'll be a thing. And so we've done a lot of math on like what is the value of a gateway jump in terms of saved time, saved capital expenses on building new ships, saved fuel, and saved repair costs on your ship. And gateway jumps are really valuable, and they're a great deal at 10,000 a jump. But at least like if the flight times are comparable, like if the flight times just suck, it doesn't really matter. And upfront costs are always harder for people to, you see the upfront cost and you don't really care about your repair cost because it's deferred for so long that people just kind of put it out of their mind, which is fair. But we want them to be a really good deal for both the people who contributed to the Gateway project and for the people flying ships through the Gateway project. MOTS is the motions section. These are, so this is so for people who are new or aren't a part of government, this is the government context. So you can't see your own company here. You can only see the government related stuff. It's like a separate account almost. There's not a ton to do in here. Basically, you just create motions. to administer the government. And the types of motions that you can create have recently expanded. So primarily what you're doing as a governor is you're filling up the population infrastructure, you're filling up the COGC to make sure that keeps running, and then you make sure the population is happy by putting drinking water in the safety station and office supplies in the infirmary, that kind of stuff. Then you pay yourself money to account for the materials that you put in yourself. You set the taxes with the production fees as needed. You can set warehouse local market fees, blah, blah, blah. You run the workforce programs, which will either be festivals, immigration, or like Education 3 programs in order to keep the population balanced the way you want, as appropriate for your planet. And then there's all the gateway stuff. So that would be like including upgrading an existing gateway, which like it's been a journey to figure out how these work, and there have been bugs. There are particularly still bugs that are they're fixed in for the next update, fortunately. But managing the upkeep and the fueling has had issues. You pick a gateway, so it's all like contractor based. You pick a gateway, you assign a contractor for it. You tell them when the contractor is starting and how long their contract runs for, and then they get paid if the service level objective is met. We don't we always pay one AIC and then sort it out on the spreadsheet later, because the model that they use for fueling is, hey, you get paid if there's always fuel in there, but you're not paid per unit fuel that you put in. But we want to pay per unit fuel that is added in order to make sure that's, I don't know, like you could pay someone and is it their job to estimate how much fuel is going to be used when there are no gateways and nobody knows? So at the moment, it makes more sense for us to track it outside. So what will happen is we will, once we have a couple more weeks and a little more funds in here, and hopefully the funding situation continues to improve, we will start payouts. Basically, the payout amounts are the amount that each contractor put in, and then the profits are split among everybody based on how many shares that was sent to them. So, and then obviously we're not going to send out really tiny payouts to people, because nobody wants to type in a bunch of names for people to get 10,000 AIC. But on the ledger, obviously, these people put in hundreds of millions worth of their own currency or whatever else or contributions. So we're getting ready for that. All right, so here we are at Griff. Griff is Griff is doing better. Let's see make sure this register is correct for. So we do have to stay on top of these numbers and make sure they get transferred over properly. So this week looks like it's going to be lower than last week for that gate. So, all right, well, we'll see. And the value of the gateways will continue to improve once we have longer chains. And that will particularly improve the situation over the STL flight section taking so long, which has been part of the problem to start with. Part of the problem with making sure they look attractive, basically. All right, so back to managing the empire. Basically, I always use the refueling tool now in order to refuel, because I used to have a special fueling screen, and that was helpful, but this is better. And there's often just a ton of ships that need fuel. So Gateway production. Let's talk gateway production. We now have 4 people in the ADI program, and I really try to rope in more. But we have 4 people: Hernan Dewar, Apple Tree, Melon, and myself making GWS. And 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, and Zen Whisper, 8. Zen Whisper is so we've had 8 GWS come out in the last 7 days, which is super great. Very exciting. Like, it's enough. Like, it's hard to keep on top of it. Like, keep on top of shipping for it. And in fact, there's one here I need to go get picked up. I've been using this 5K ship as essentially just storage to keep the thing going. So we should fill that up and get that there so we can. I have no idea why that's in there. So we can keep that going. So we're 10 short there. The Tor needs to go up. We need TRS there. And SST comes out in 11 hours. We should have more SST and more PFG going. So the SST is waiting for PFG. And the PFG, we need to send up bundles of reactor components, which I think we do not have laying around here. So we'll need to send that to Phobos. And that's been, I think that's probably been the sticking point, if that's the right word for a lot of people. That and the RE alloys have kind of alternated a little bit for us, because we had a fair bit of PFGs stocked up ahead of time. So let's get this over here. And storage is of course a big challenge for any planet where you're making the GWS, because they are big. The materials for them are even bigger. We should have sent some TPUs. Okay, well. All right, so that's on a roll. Over here, the rag and the furs are coming out. Let's see what we need. RCS and ACS. So we have a small STL ship for this system that we can grab. It's the 250 by 250. Here we go. And that's good for these small high-value components. So we've got 2 fur, 2 rag here, which is enough to start a PFG. And we want to make sure it's still going. So we have 6 ACS, and then RCS, we have some of those. 3 RCS. That'll keep those going. The other components can sometimes be tough to get, but we have pretty good supplies. The fuel rods, I don't make the fuel rods. I buy them all. And that has kind of surprisingly worked out okay. It can be a challenge. All right, so that's full. We'll send that to Phobos. And all right, so that will be the next step there. Then we can get those right to HEF with the STL. All right, so that's a good deal. All right, we got notifications. Awesome. We have Tanda picking up some contracts. Thank you very much. We'll get those payouts sent. They are picked up. Yeah, it is great to be able to send out those to courtmates or ADS people, and they just get picked up, and you have a lot of stuff move very quickly to the gates, which makes things a lot better, because as soon as that gateway is built, then we're allowed to make the next motion. So it has to be built before you can start the upgrade task. on it. You can't select it in the motions editor until it's finished. And that's usually when we name it and set the fees and stuff like that. And then you have to wait until they both have the range upgrade before you can link them. Then you can link in both directions. Oh, all right. Raisin Pock grabbed another one. Excellent. Excellent. Best feature in the game also was the audio volume slider, right? Because otherwise that ding, ding, ding would be like 5 times louder than my voice. Or any other sound this computer can play. All right, so we're back to gateway construction. The other thing, to stay on top of is my 2 smelting planets. My 2 smelting planets are supplemented by 6 or 8 additional people in ADI who have been interested in helping with smelting. So like Uber Scoober is a new player who wanted to help out, and we got him a base on Vulcan with a bunch of SMEs. So that's great to get even like new people involved. Other folks who are mostly in OG. So what I'm doing here is I'm checking to make sure we have ALR contracts out for people. If there aren't, that means that I forgot to send them, and I need to send new smelting contracts. And I think it looks like they are all. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3 people. Yeah, no, there's more that should go out probably. All right, so let's take a look at our master list of gateway smelters. Jay-Chung has some he has some RE, so that's okay. Let's send one out to Mr. Smith on Demos. Because what happens is if you know, like every step of the gateway project has lag in it. There's a lot of latency in everything. Like if you dig RE and smelt it, the amount of time it takes to get from Renos Potter back to Antares CX is like 10 days. It's a lot of time. And then, you know, whenever you hand stuff off to other people, like they're not awake the same time you are, so there's maybe half a day of delay before they actually get the item. Then they start the processing on it. Then when it's finished, there's some delay time for them to get it back to you. Because none of us are at our computers all the time. And that delay doesn't slow down your overall throughput necessarily, but it means you have to plan for that. And it means that, yeah, I mean, you don't want your production to stop because like you don't want Tor production to stop because you forgot to send some out because you were dealing with a delay that was associated with sending that out. So then question, how many ASMs are we running total? 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 80-ish, because like they're, you know, some of these people, like some of these ASMs are busy. Evo's doing his own now. There's a bunch of like I'm only doing Vulcan and Demos. I'm not doing the ASMs that other people have in other locations because I don't want to manage the shipping. Not that I don't have the ships to do the shipping. I don't have the like brain power to keep track of them and not lose them. So yeah, I would, and they're not all running at the same time. Like people who have smaller quantities, I try to not make it burdensome on them, especially for people who I know are doing shipbuilding, right? Like if your production goals include making LCBs, you need 200 AST every 18 hours to keep that thing running, which you probably don't keep it busy, but like I don't want to eat up too much time on anybody's list. Yeah, so some of these are still out. I think I think we're probably good sending them out with just that. Okay, so contracts. I always try to stay on top. Oh yeah, thank you, Raisin Puck. You picked up a ton of them. Yeah, and then there's that latency effect also happens other places with the production. All right, so I am perpetually low on. The other thing I haven't really figured out is that I've been paying out of pocket for all the tungsten, and that's been pricey. So let's split this up half and half to Demos and Vulcan, and we'll send 100 tungsten to each one. And we'll do the pickup. Fortunately, like these are pretty short flights. Early in the Gateway production, we had a lot of long flights, like colony ship production period of time. Like our Krypton was such a long flight, and then it would get to Anton. We would fly it to like Origo for Origo, this planet. It was originally going to be named Midas like 3 years ago, but there's a company with the name Midas, so because it was the gold central before it turned into chemistry. I was governor of this planet for a very long time. Let's see, I might, for a long time it was the longest place I was governor of. I was governor 20 times there. Now I've been governor of Malahat 25 times. So that's past, yeah. So this was my first planet. Oh, what a beautiful little planet. But with various terrible names, different times in its history. But it's also kind of a long flight, so there and back to process definitely slowed us down, but we managed pretty well with the colony ship situation. All right, so we've got the SMEs the ASMs are in good shape. We have a lot of metal on Ant. The ALR only gets used in Tor, so it all goes to Hecaton for Tor production. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in production now. We have 1 completed. We can't spare a 5K ship to go out there, especially with all the GWS we have to fly back and forth. The Tor is heavier than we should. Oh, we don't have any WCB. Oh, nope, we have 1. Yeah, I just made these. I'm really pleased with the performance on these wide cargo bay ships that basically you just put a hyperpower reactor on them, and because their volume is so low, their performance is really great. You know, the fact that they hold more mass doesn't really affect their performance, so they act like a 1,000 ship. I should have built them a really long time ago because they are super. All right, so that's 4 more Tor that we can just send right off now. Boost that a little bit. Try to 3 a.m. It's like, oh, I really want this to show up before I go to sleep. Okay, turn off gateways and it goes from 13 hours to 7 hours. So that's but this is a fast ship. So the gateways shine more with slow ships, which is a bummer. Hello, welcome everybody. Saganaki's here. Say hey. Okay. So let's get this. Yeah, I mean, man, that sucks. The gateway is slower. Like, I know it's just because with such a good jump drive, it goes so fast. All right, so we'll fly it. We'll start 4 or 5 more. We will start 4 more tour, and we'll be able to haul back those guys. So that'll be a good start. It'll be pretty good. We're not really blocked on tour right now, and I just sent some over to the other folks who are making GWS, so I think we're good there. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Void. So Reno's Potter. Let me pop that out because my face is covering it. All right, we are perpetually full of RE here, but fortunately we have you can't see. Oh, we got contracts coming in. I do try to fill these as fast as possible because people are often waiting on them to do production orders. So try to fill those as they come. Missed a shipping contract. Got that. Okay. Yeah, once I didn't need this XIT cont C. But now that I have more contracts, it's even more helpful to use these tools. All right, so this is what's out now that other people are active on that I don't have to, that I'm not responsible for, but I need to keep track of the shipping that's coming in. So there's no RE on Hecate. But there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. This is a 5K ship worth of RE. 1, 2, 3 here. This is 3,000, I guess. Yeah, 3,000 worth, 3,000 tons of RE. So I need to be. This is probably arriving in like 2 days. This is 2 or 3 days. So I need to be sure that that I'm prepared to pick that up. My ship arrives there in 2 days, 19 hours, which this might fill up again by then. There's nothing really I can do about that. And this is repair materials. One of the catches, like, yeah, if someone says, hey, I need repair materials, it's going to take you 10 days to get them out there. And that's not something that any of us, I think, are used to. Prosperous Universe, that like 10-day turnarounds to like get something out there. Especially like right now, okay, it's 3 days to land at Reno's Potter. It's, if you catch it at the right time, then it's 3 more days back. It's 2 days to Hecate from Ant. You really have to get all of those timings right, so things don't get stuck. So since this is a long trip, the WCBs are really good to go out to Hecate. But Hecate? I don't know. I think that's it. Since they're really slow to get out there, the WCBs are a good choice for that. Oh man, these are already going to Vulcan, and oh man, I doubled up these ships. Well, you know what? These are coming back. Okay. The ones that are almost have half of their fuel gone are coming from the Void Zone. Okay. So we did just have a shipment. I have a 2K left sitting there waiting to load up. Do I send out another ship? And if I do, what needs to be on it? I can send another ship out there, take some PBUs. I don't use any of the consumable bundles I don't think anybody does, really. Except they are convenient for when you're running, 9 bases and you need to distribute out consumables to 9 different people off of that planet. It's less to shove into a ship, and it's less to click through on all the contracts. It's probably not worth the extra cost of running stuff through a packaging center, but yeah. Oh man, we should talk about the consequence of having Tei's price in there. That's gonna be something very influential to the way that the game works, I think, having a reference price on things, because there's just often not a reference price, right? Like you're looking at, oh, what, how much is GWS? What is it? And now there's a reference price for it. And that's a low reference price, actually. I don't. All right, let's go to the. Let's take a. Let's take a look here. Okay, so the modeled price for GWS is 11.895 million. We should set that. Yeah, that's all exchanges. What does it say for TRS and Tor? Okay. When people see so my question becomes TRS, Tor. My question becomes, like, are people going to feel that's some sort of authoritative price? Is it PP7 Universe? Raisinpock? The question is, like, will people refuse to buy things at other prices? How much weight is, like, a newbie going to give to that price? Because everybody said, everyone will say the value is defined as whatever it actually exchanges at. The classic economic answer. This must be PP7, because 195 is the price that I have for TRS that I've been buying it at on every exchange. So that's where that comes from. For Tor, yeah, that's probably the PP7 or PP30 price. But yeah, for gateways, VWAP 7-day price based on actual trades. Okay, so it's not intended to be a marker for low volume items that aren't publicly traded at their real price, whatever real price might be for that. I can't stress enough how enthusiastic I am about Tei's price model. I know part of that is just because most of what I deal in is the low volume items, or the things that don't sell on the CX, which would be ship parts, weird ship parts, normal ship parts, and gateway stuff now. Because that is going to be where, well, that's also where, like, having tooling that can help you figure out a reasonable price for GWS is so helpful. Because one of the challenges with the Gateway project was, early in the project, we wanted to figure out, like, when I say early in the project, I mean, like, literally 2 years ago, we kind of had to know what a GWS was going to be worth in order to figure out a share count for it. And there were a lot of aspects of gateway construction that were absolutely just misunderstood or just missed. The biggest one was SPT. which I think was just hilarious. And no one really like, oh, one Kevlar 10 MTC, like the inputs are pretty cheap, pretty small. You make 100 SPT, that's a lot of SPT. So it's kind of one of the, it's like, it's going to be like, oh, it's like PE or something. It's going to be something you make a lot of, but you don't notice that you make 100 SPT and it's 5 cubic meters each. Every time this runs, you have 500 cubic meters. So like, and at 12 hours base time, you're doing 3 of those per CLF a day. I was filling up a 5K ship in less than 24 hours. So with space tethers alone, there was a ton of shipping that wasn't reflected in the price or our expectations. And just like the long AF times were accounted for, but those high end items, everything above TRS and Tor was a lot more than we expected. And the other thing we didn't account for was, hey, we knew the new metal was coming into the game, the new ore, but we didn't know you would need a colony ship to go get it, because that was a surprise to everybody when that was announced. So that really, that is something that I'm just kind of, to some extent, I'm just kind of absorbing and eating that. We rebalanced the prices a little, but it didn't really add a lot of extra pricing weight to the GWS as a result. But it's definitely been part of the thing that's made it more expensive for everybody involved in that. All right, so what goes up here? More repair supplies. I don't think we need more repair supplies. We will just have to distribute that and see how far everybody gets on their repairs. It's going to be tough because people built at different times. So we're going to, I have screenshots of a couple repair. Okay, so in 48 hours, one of them is going to look like that. The HSC numbers will be correct, but the MCG, try to send some extra in case. All right, so carbon, the carbon, flux, and oxygen are the ones you need. We are lowest on carbon, and this is to run 9 bases. Should be okay on flux. Here there's carbon. I think the answer is still to send up more carbon. So we'll just fill that ship and send it. Because especially when you're dealing with larger buffers, you don't want empty ships. So I'm gonna see, can I bump this up? Right, it's at 2 a.m. I want to get it before midnight, maybe. We'll see what we can do. We can get it before 3 p.m. All right, sweet. Yeah, we'll burn all that. We'll burn all that fuel. Fuel's cheap, right? Okay. So what have we got left? We've got, most of the ships are out. At this point, it would be prudent to go through burn and look at the disaster that's going on here. Oh man. Every time I do a stream, it just looks bleak. All right. I don't think anything is stopped despite the zeros that you see on the sheet. So we can flip this over to make CF if we wanted to, but I think it would be better to keep it making aluminum and silicon. So I don't know, buy 1,000. Halo. Price is kind of okay. The spread is pretty small, so I'm not going to mess with it. Yeah, I mean, it's down to 20 days, but I come here pretty often, so I'm not too worried about it. We'll send extra flux, extra that, 648A. So when you're building like ship components and gateway stuff, you just can't store enough to keep everything going like that. I-151D is one of the AML bases. That one just needs extra BER, or we need to switch it to tungsten. So let's switch it to tungsten and then use the remaining burr. 1, 2, 3. And should we send a ship over there? It's only got 14 tungsten to pick up, so it doesn't really need a ship. It just needed a rebalancing, and it's off the list. Thalassa A. I really like this system. I've talked about this before, but Ice Station Alpha, you make water, you ship it to Thalassa B, where you turn it into plants. The plants are enough there to feed both an incinerator and rations or drinking water. So it's really a pretty self-contained system. And if I was more diligent about like regularly keeping it balanced instead of having to pull stuff out, it would probably run much more autonomously. But I buy a lot of mushrooms. I have 9,000 mushrooms. And for that reason, like its production changes based on what I'm able to buy, basically. So we'll send that over. We have carbon to pick up. We have a lot of drinking water and rations to pick up. So this probably needs more than one ship worth, but we'll start with one ship worth. If I had more ships available, I would probably send a fleet. And I've always had the impression that the game was intended to support fleets of ships at the start, and it ended up being kind of more, just individual ships that don't get bunched into a fleet. But that's just a little vibe I get from the things you see from the source code of the game. All right, so I like to use the STL ship to consolidate the materials in planet A, or one of the planets, in order to just make it a little easier to deal with. But we can send rations and stuff over to our destination planets. Yeah, the way I like to do it is, you can operate this without really sending empty ships around too much. Because you pick up the water, go here, pick up the HCP, go here, pick up the carbon, drop off the carbon, pick up some food or whatever. That's the one where you leave it empty. But doing, a lot of base setups, you're flying one leg of it empty or nearly empty. So it's nice to have a system where that's not the general case. I have in-system logistics here. I have the HCB and a 250 in Antares 1. And that services those two 5Ks service Phobos, Hef, Astraeus. What else? What are the planets here? I don't even know. I want this one. Which ones do I have bases on? Eos is here? No, Eos is not here. Yeah, Eos. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have 4 planets here. Those ships are busy. Like, I don't know, because I do ships and gateways on Hef. I literally have a ship flying back and forth, just continuously, right? It's like 5 trips a day sometimes. I wish I could keep them organized better. Okay, the GWS doesn't fill on here. So, like, right, I drop stuff off and then it leaves empty, like, all the time. So this ship is just going home empty. which is usually how it goes. And the other in-system logistics I have is on Nix. So what I do here is I have this, where'd it go? Lost a ship. So the Nix ship is STL Nix. Yep. So what I do with this ship is I usually a 2K ship can kind of fill all 3 of these planets with whatever they need. So I'll consolidate all of the things that I want to ship out. I'll just grab them all, put them all on one planet, and then kind of deal with shipping between the planets with the STL, and then you can just go in and out more quickly. All right, so like who needs a refill here? We make CL, so the CL is fine. Like that number, ignore that number. So this planet's at 21 days, actually. 7 days because of MFK, and we can swap out the DCM, whatever is using DCL, excuse me. Yeah, the DCL. So this planet is probably at 28 days. And then the electronics planet is like at 19 days. And these are all software things that can be fixed by adding one EDC into the list. If I put a EDC, it bumps up. But we want to burn that down, that supply of stuff. So yeah, these bases are all optimized to like not need a lot of shipping because they're so far out. So let's do some pickups. Let's grab some stuff. Yeah, I've definitely noticed the game has been slower with like closing contracts and moving inventory. Definitely quite a bit. Oh, and nanoresin gets made here, so we need to bring NCS in. And the nanoresin is actually the most important thing that gets made on this planet. So we should consider that. All right, so let's, yeah, basically we just can like slowly fly it between planets because it's such a long trip, and do not unload. This is just pickups. So I don't think I'll send anything yet. I do want to send a ship full of NCS out there at some point. I have 20K. That's not like a full ship by any means. Let's see if we're still making NCS anywhere, because Eos would be the place to make it, and we aren't. So let's add some more NCS to this. Yeah, all of my main planets are really flexible. That I have shielding on that STL? I think I do. Yeah, it is a STL shielded. I think it has all the shields. Yeah. Especially when you put advanced hull plates on something, it makes sense to do all of the shield types because it reduces damage to the ship. Requires hull plates to repair, but if you have shields on, it requires fewer hull plates. And since the AHP is expensive, you can reduce your overall repair cost. Yeah, because there is one item in that system that is damaging. There was something there was high damage. Oh, somebody's at the door. Let's see if somebody's gonna. There's a kid at my door. Found him. All right, let him in. I don't have to get up. Perfect. All right. So what other planets? Okay. So Eos is low on LD. We were looking at that planet. we can, that is just something that we can swap around. In fact, we should probably add, it's tough to keep it balanced because at some point I had the desire to act as a market maker for software. So I ended up with large quantities of random pieces of software that I need to get rid of, basically. So let's try to ship over some random software over there and see what we can make out of it. Especially like we can, like, we'll ship a bunch of SA and take it out of the production queue. All right, so LD is in there. We are not making NF. We are not making SA. This might not be too helpful. All right, so we'll do that anyway. We're down to 20 days. We might as well refill this. My standard is like 40. So that's the Intrepid. Yeah, and this is today, since I sent so many ships out for gateways, I didn't send out a lot of consumables. But this is generally the process for refilling bases. And in like 23 days isn't something that necessarily needs to be refilled, but this is a planet that doesn't need it to get a ton of visits. So might as well top it off while we're going out there. And then we'll fill the rest of it with aluminum and silicon for the electronic bits and bobs. And we can always bump up the amount of NCS that gets made there so we don't use up so much metal. Yeah, but you can tell, like, I don't know if it's more players in the game or something else that changed in the last update. Like, clicking through that can be a lot slower than it used to be. All right, so bunch of junk, aluminum, click max, take out half, max SI, got a full ship. All right, send it. And that's a short trip, so that's nice. All right, we have a couple ships and some of the small ones left. And yeah, if there's anything anybody wants to see in particular or has questions about, just let me know. Nike will mostly get, that's construction, so it's fab production. That will kind of get rebalanced. I don't want to ship precursor fabs out to it. So the PP2s are using TCS to make HSE entirely, in fact. So it'll probably be just like, how do we keep the PP4s busy once we run out of nanoresin? Like it needs more TRS. I'm just low on HSE. So let's send a small ship over with some HSE to help out. And some, what's the HSE and PSH numbers? Why are they not in here? Oh, we're still positive on HSE. That's cool. PSH, we have 2 days. We can send another. I think we have extra PSH. And we don't have nanoresin because I brought that all up a couple days ago. All right. Let's take a look at our notes. So I showed off gateway inventories, gateway progress. We have some motions that I'll need to coordinate with people to make happen. We pretty much built the entire gateway minus 3 GWS that will be going to Etherwind. That'll be super nice for a lot of people. We'll have to. The folks up in that direction have been really picking up speed on their gateway projects. So I know, like ours, I'm sure ours will be done first, but I think it's just a matter, like, it'll just be helpful for them to know that the gateway's done, that they can start their side, because there was kind of, it's a difficult thing to coordinate. Oh, we need money, guys. All right, so let's look at some charts. Everybody loves charts. That's why you're here. I know how you. All right, so equity has taken a hit. We were approaching 4 billion in equity. We lost we lost 400 million in equity, and that's all gateway stuff that was being held. But kind of the kicker is that my cash in hand was almost at 200 million, and it was recently down to 20 something million. We're now at 39 million. That's kind of the point where, like, these have all been gateway expenses, like just random. And this was like my peak was around early December. So the past 2 months have really been hit the cash reserves hard. Part of that was making sure that the gateway funds that were in cash form were expended, and they mostly have been there on the. That needs to get sorted out a little bit. But that needs some paperwork, paper keeping. But the cash intended as cash contributions has largely been spent on like TRS and components like that. So there is a lot of cash locked up in. Let's see if I can find this on the balance sheet. There is cash locked up in the. That's the wrong sheet. So there's cash locked up on the CX in buys, and I don't really know how much that is. So it's a cash equivalent. It's a CX deposit. So there's 300 million locked up in CX bids, down from 326. Oh, I can chart that? Oh, okay. Okay. That's helpful. Okay, so CX deposits. All right, you can tell that a lot of that went, those two big jumps are probably gateway contributions that. And sometimes I don't know which CX it'll be sold, because when I try to buy like TRS, I will put bids up in all the CXs, even if that isn't the currency that I got the bid in, because I need to catch as much of it as I can so I can spend it effectively. I can't just restrict myself to this one that I have currency, that I received currency for. And obviously, when you receive currency, it all goes into the same big pool. Okay, so we should sort through deposits to cut bad bids. Apparently I have money on the FX, and I had no idea. The FX is getting changes. I didn't see anyone discuss this. Low Strife will be thrilled that they are eliminating the top triangle here and keeping just the bottom triangle. So if you have cash in the top triangle, the bids will stay active, and you should remove them. All right, so AICCIS, I have a very low ball bid there. Man, with the prices that low, which side is this? I see it's so confusing. Is this the top? This is the side that will be removed. So I do not want to put that bid back up. Yeah. All right. That was my question. Sell. All right. So this sell, which is also pretty high up there, but had some activity. When was the activity? How old was that? 60 days ago. I'm sure it was a good bid at the time. This we can get rid of, and like, do I need? Oh yeah, see now I just have a bunch of CIS. What am I gonna do with that? That doesn't help. So let's put up some of this. See if I do this right. So we want to sell. You want to sell high. It is so difficult to. Let's just put up 5 million. Yeah. Okay. All right, the rest of this we should convert the old-fashioned way, I think, by buying junk on the CX. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we can show off some fancy secret tools. I don't know. All right, that's what this is fun for. This is fun. All right, we have 16 million to spend ish, maybe 15 million. Let's open up some tools. All right, so we are going to operate on CI1. We're not going to filter. We want to see the bids on items. My ignored material list is gone. We're going to pull new data. Our available funds is we'll do 1.4 million. We got 74 bids. That's too much. We want a bigger spread. 8% spread is 60 bids. 12% spread is 45. Do we want to set volumes? Let's work with this. ADE. Yeah, I will buy ADE. Aluminum at that price. Let's just skip aluminum today. I will buy AST. AU is heavy, but I'll buy it. Don't want that. That is CC should be in the ignore list. All right, CC it's like a market maker. We do not want to do that. I think I have, and ideally, I'm buying these things for personal use, not for resale, because there's more money to be made in production when that's possible for you. Why are the ship components marked off? Okay, well, we'll not buy the ship components because they're expensive. The tool is skipping them because the volume traded is too low. Which is fine. FLP flux, I don't really want gal. I don't want more HCC. I have 30,000. I will take the crops. I will take helium, but not helium-3. I don't want to ship heavy iodine. I do want LFABs. Definitely want those. Definitely, there's LSE. I want that. Okay, these are good. These are good. Not off. PPA. PP. No one's. That's just not going to happen. And like I think, yeah. Fortunately, I got I had 1,000 PPA sitting around, and I think I got a faction contract to get rid of it. All right, so this is pretty. Ooh, I don't need that. Okay, so that's pretty good. What did we end up with? 37. Let's do it. All right, I came up to 13 or 1 point. Oh, I need commas in here. It came up to 13.9 million. We can do that. I don't think I will be. So at least in my capacity as ADI, Gateway Cooperative, our system has prioritized methods to control the gateways that we make, because we have an obligation to return the profits of the gateways to the shareholders. So we can kind of only build gateways that we can collect the profits from, which has worked really well for, like, hey, we'll do the Etherwind side, or sorry, we'll do the Griffinstone side of the Etherwind gate, but you do the return side of that gate. Like, that works well because we can maintain the governance of Griffinstone and do that outgoing gate. So from a political point of view, that works great. As far as, like, we couldn't, if we wanted to, say, control a gate going out of Etherwind, then we would need to be on the government for Etherwind, which is achievable as, like, an MP. But gateways mush all of the, if there's multiple gateways in a system, they mush all of the profits together. So we wouldn't be able to separate out the ADI profits from the other gates in Etherwind. So it's really all or nothing for a planet's gates for us to be able to manage. Like, I think you could probably do that with the traffic tool, the gateway traffic tool, to, like, work out the math and, like, work out a split, or at least estimate a split. Right now the numbers are buggy, so you kind of can't, because it's adding up the number and never resetting it. But I'm also hesitant to anything where it's like, oh, whoops, like, somebody went on vacation and didn't write the number down and we lost data, and, like, you can interpolate, I guess, and that's fine, but it's better to just have accurate data for the accounting part of the gateways. As far as, like, personal production, like, obviously all of us in the ADI Gateway Cooperative have chains that are making gateway products fast and furious, and, like, we're pulling out just thousands of, let's take a look at the lead for RE. Yeah, because we're pulling out huge amounts of this and we just can't stop, largely. All right, it's messed up. Let's try that again. We're pulling out huge amounts of rhenium, and, like, well, okay, 6, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 plus, yeah. Oh, that's not going to work. Yeah, I mean, what, 700 a day or something like that, maybe, out of all the Antares people involved. So there's a ton of gateway stuff available, and, we could sell that to other groups, I think, as individuals, and that might be the way for us to go. I don't know what the appetite for those other groups are for buying, say, GWS or something like that, which is probably the blocker for a lot of those groups. Yeah, especially the other folks that are to the west of us. I think they're kind of earlier in their setup, because we are also approaching the point where we need to figure out what Like, let's pull up the map. Because we are approaching the point where we need to figure out. So we've got our gate to I-158, 151, whatever it is, and then we have to start getting over towards Hortus, and I don't know how far along those folks are. But we are also at the point where it's like, hey, we want to consider the other gates internal to Antares, right? Which, like, people have taught. There's been interest in, like, should Norwick have a gate? Should there be gates out towards the yeah, it's tough because there's a lot of development in Norwick, but like how straight is the line, how much is saved, etc. What's the Antares has some things that are pretty straight lines in them that benefit less from gates, but there's also really attractive gates that save a lot of pathing if you go down this way. Sorry to ignore some of those lines. Going down towards WU, down towards Nix would be super helpful for some people. Well, it might, like, does that make sense as part of the ADI project or not? I don't know. And then just like there are super neat gates coming out of ArcLight, right? The question is, like, nobody really flies there. Is there any way to make that make sense? Because it's such a big jump savings. Like, would it encourage people to go to ArcLight? I don't know. It's super cool, but I think it wouldn't. I think it would lose so much money on upkeep. It would be hard to keep the gate active. And like, are there people who are willing to throw away money to keep a gate open that is utterly unprofitable? The answer is probably yes, but are they willing to do it long term? Like, at the cost of, like, would they hand over 20 million worth to pay the upkeep for half a year? Because that's what it's going to cost, So, well, a lot more than, yeah, I guess half a year would be 50. Yeah. So, I don't know. I don't know. It's like such an attractive line to put on the map, but we'll see. We'll see if it could ever make sense. Instead of, like, hitting the places that people actually go, and there's some other mapping tools that I don't have open handy that, like, give you population maps. So you can try to say, like, oh, what, but like a lot of Antares, like, it doesn't make sense to make a gateway like that. Even if, like, these are popular planets, like, and like, and a lot of the, right, like, stuff like that doesn't make sense. Like, I don't really know the Moria situation, but the planet layout, but, like, here to here, like, there's a lot of roundabout, like, that's a lot of jumps saved. But and this map doesn't show real distances. You kind of have to look at the other map also to figure that out. But we are approaching a point where we need to think about other gate options to add to Antares. Ooh, look at all those spaceship icons. It's too many spaceship icons. So, yeah, we'll see. Cosm keeps their info within their core members for how far along their gates are. Yeah, okay. When the next patch comes through, it will show gateway progress. That would be the amount that's dropped into the construction stores. That is not present yet. But it will be like, so you click on this gate, instead of it saying under construction, it'll show the percentage. And the percentage right now shows up. Nope, I meant inventory construction stores. Where is it? Like it shows up for the gateway contractor, the percentage. Oh, it's in assets. That's what I should be. Yeah, so this one we just started is at 0%. Until the ships arrive. But this is something only the contractors can see. So once they bring that number into this buffer, we'll have a little better information. So yeah, these are all SNF, Supernova Foundries, plus Etherwind, Midway Sand. Okay. So yeah, it's not clear. And some of these are like test gates or throwaway gates, probably. So we'll never, yeah, we won't totally know until things get built. We didn't do our action. We copied the JSON, but we didn't buy our stuff. Let's see if it's still in the paste buffer. All right, still in the paste buffer. All right, so run the tool, preview the tool. All right, let's make some bids. Let's buy some stuff. We'll buy some, yep. So this is a good way to just help out keeping the markets liquid and effectively spending cash you don't want in a certain currency. So these are items that all hit kind of all of my criteria for like being an okay price for an okay object. And then we skimmed through them in order to make sure. But it's a little chunky sometimes when it's when the server's loading slowly. And you know, like I'm kind of eyeballing these prices as we go through. We generally should be checking to make sure, like it should have compared it to Antares to make sure I'm not like underbidding a price that. Let me phrase it like this: we shouldn't be generating bid contracts that will cause arbitrage between CXs, because if we're generating arbitrage opportunities, we should have done the arbitrage ourselves. That's one of the kind of concepts here. But also, like, these are hopefully all things that we would use, and failing that, we would be able to sell. But ideally, things that we would use ourselves. And I feel like I use most of the materials in the game in some form or another. So that works out okay. All right. So that got our CIS down, and do we have enough spare ships to actually pick any of this junk up? Probably not. But that is something I kind of forget to check, is like, okay, what is at Ben? Mostly ores that are heavy, which is why they haven't been shipped back. And at Moria, we have TRS to pick up and VF for some reason. And the TRS is actually valuable and should be shipped home. There's and yeah, I mean, stuff gets left in warehouses for years. So try not to do that too much. I feel like it is worth it every once in a while to just go like empty the warehouses when there's storage available to empty them, because otherwise you risk just losing material forever. Like I just shipped up ore because I didn't have any here, and it turns out I did have some. It was just in a warehouse. And obviously Reno's Patra is just going to be full of RE all the time. We have 4 colony ships now because we just got another. So that Delvatron's on vacation. When he's back, his colony ship will be back in action. Appletree has a colony ship that will be back in action. And that'll help. Oh, look, we just shipped ore up here too. This one was, yep, so. And then hull plates, okay. All right, I think we'll be wrapping up. I'm gonna skip the governance check. We did that last stream. Maybe really brief. If anyone has any questions, now's your chance to get them in. Yeah, we've been doing good on Malahat. Yeah, it's the unemployment, 20 and 40% is plenty. That's on the high side. So we'll make sure that Malahat doesn't go crazy, because on the same actions on Phobos was kind of getting towards the danger level. Right now, Phobos is at 9% unemployment with scientists, because we've had growth and shrinking changes as the player base changes, and as gateways come around, as IDC kind of disappear. Like, I think we're kind of stabilizing, but it still shifts around. All right, well, thank you everyone for joining the stream. We'll do this again, and have a good one. Stay prosperous.